these games, you get invested in these games, and they come down to the final play or handful of plays or sequences or a pitching change or a diving attempt in the outfield or any number of things that you just saw in this St. Louis series, and it's all getting it wrong. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Cardinals 3, Pirates 2 in 10 innings. Yesterday, St. Louis taking 2 of 3 in the series. It's another one of those. Except that in this instance, the opponent was one of several that you really need to overtake at some stage of the summer. And losing 2 of 3 isn't overtaking. It's falling back. And that's what this team keeps doing. Falling back. And falling back again and again in precisely the same way. Starting pitching is terrific. Martin Perez was terrific. Really nice bounce back for him. He needed that too. We had a good talk after the game. He was a little bit embarrassed about what happened in Atlanta, and I picked up on that down there. This was different. 7 1/3 innings of really, really efficient, in control work on the mound. Good for him. The obligatory, and I say this lovingly, Brian Reynolds' solo home run, which is now the crux of this offense. There's gonna be a Brian Reynolds solo home run in there. And no, that's never the hitter's fault. Don't ever do that. He just happens to be on a team that has very little offense. There's usually a bit of a bullpen hiccup, and there was in this one, with Dennis Santana in the 10th, and then you start fussing over the details. Should Michael Taylor have dived for that ball? Of course he should have. And again, to bring up Atlanta, because he and I had a conversation down there when he made the great catch that ended up saving a W. Well, he tried to make another great catch, just missed it. Big whoop. That's not what lost the game. I spoke with Jack Sawinski and Nick Gonzalez, both of whom just crushed balls into the notch. They would have been home runs in 29 big league parks, but not this one. What do you do about that? Nothing. And then even then, isolating on those two things takes away from the fact that they don't hit in general. And all the while, the general manager sleeps. Speaking figuratively, of course, Ben Cherington works. He works hard. He works at process. He works at making sure that the engine is churning, in his eyes, properly, at all levels, in all ways. That's his thing. He made clear that's who he is way back when he was hired. He saw himself as a builder, not a rebuilder, but a builder of baseball ops. Expressed a ton of pride in that at the time, without bragging, not really his nature. And that's what matters to him. And within that process, he has to believe in that process. He has to sell out to that process. He actually uses that terminology. That's his baby. That's his creation. That's his invention. So when the Double-A hitting coach, John Nunnally, former big leaguer, helps out Ke'Bryan Hayes and turns Hayes into the Pirates' most productive hitter in the second half of 2023, he didn't follow the process. He was out of line. He was doing somebody else's job. That's Andy Haynes, of course. That wasn't part of the process. He broke the rules. He was fired. The results didn't matter. Whatever winning followed Hayes' really nice surge there didn't matter. The long-term, multi-million-dollar contract to which the team and Hayes committed, that didn't matter. Only the process mattered. That's all that matters now. His process led him to sign, at a cost of $34 million, a free agent pool of Rowdy Tellez, Aroldis Chapman, Martin Perez, Michael A. Taylor, Yasmani Grandal, Josh Fleming, and then, on top of that, $2.5 million was thrown away on a known injury risk in Marco Gonzalez. Do those names, with respect to the good performances that they have, occasionally come across to you as the best possible usage of $36 million in a payroll that you know under Bob Nutting is not going to be very high? No, of course not. Which means that something in the process didn't work. The evaluations, the analytics, the priorities within those. And he can't handle the process not working. So what happens? We watch all of these people all summer long, unconditionally, because you're going to wait and wait and wait and wait for them to come around because he needs to show that the process worked. That's it, my friends. You can come up with any other kind of theories you want, or you can just condense it to radio talk show blabber about, it's all Nutting, whatever else. Well, this was Nutting's money. This was Nutting's $36 million. And where did it go? Who put it there? Should the payroll be higher? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Is Nutting cheap? My God, yes. But is the GM completely blowing this? Also, yes. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Josh, and this came from a lot of different directions. Josh asks, why can't Major League Baseball's Situation Room just buzz down if they want a challenge? It feels insane that the Cardinals got to ask for 2 crew chief reviews after the 7th inning. I'll tell you what, there was a lot of this that I didn't like yesterday, and I am not bringing this up in some context that the Pirates got hosed or making any kind of excuses for them. Once more, with gusto, they can't hit. That is the problem. But I didn't like that Ollie Marmol was able to challenge after the Cardinals' time in which to challenge had expired. That was the case that Derek Shelton was making on the field when he went out there, even before the Cardinals would go on to lose that challenge. He didn't want to run the risk that they'd win the challenge, and he has a bit of a bug about him, Shelton does, when it comes to rules and clock stuff. Him and Don Kelly watch that stuff like a hawk, and he really comes jumping out of the dugout in those scenarios. You'd almost wish he would do that sort of thing more often as it relates to, actual baseball things, but he does it for that, for sure. So the Cardinals use their challenge and they lose their challenge. So later in the game, 2 other situations arise. I'm not going to get into the specifics of them because they really don't matter to this conversation, but you could tell that the Cardinals were, protesting or shouting about something from the dugout, and they prompted what's formally known as a crew chief review. And in each case, the mic'd up ump announces to the crowd at PNC Park that it's a challenge, which confuses everybody. I'm in the press box. I have no idea what they're talking about on TV or whatever, so I have no idea what's going to the audience outside the stadium. In the stadium, no one has any idea. And I'm sorry, but that's not right. Those are the paying customers. So the review, the umpire turns his mic back on, and he says this was a crew chief review. Well, okay. Make up your minds. We all knew it was a crew chief review, but you announced it as a challenge. Then they do the same thing again. Now, to your point, never mind how they handle the announcements, should they be listening to either team, to either the Pirates or the Cardinals, and saying, hey, you should do a review. You should do a review. In my opinion, no. If they have a legit internal doubt that something went wrong, and I'll point specifically to the example where the pitch went over Josh Palacios' shoe. I don't think it hit his shoe, but Palacios kind of reacted that way, and the ump called it that way initially. First base ump comes walking in a little bit. I'm okay with that. But I don't feel as if the umpire should be responding just because a team lost its challenge to go running and do a crew chief review every time it happens. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Gonna do another one of these on Monday. Hesitated there for a second because there's a 4-game series with the Mets this weekend. It's one of those wraparound series where the finale is on Monday, and after that I'll be flying up to Milwaukee to cover the series with the first place Brewers.